Okay, so no go no side. Also, you can send message as the program will go live. You can give comments and give message and text at we or tweet at we or send a message on YouTube. Then we'll read them as they go. But just make sure you keep them respectful. Once again, I'm Alpha Kamara, I'm the host from Washington DC Studios and TV Salon. Today, Saturday the 19th of August 2023. All right. The months that ain't go so small. For Fambul and Afriton, we are gonna be careful because August now can get heavy rain as alone, and we see problem and maybe can only happen there. So stay warm, stay dry, and make sure you check your roof, and you see everything okay. All right. So, like I say, we all this past week, 1 week, don't they read this drama about the US ambassador interview where he do with Radio Democracy 98.1. Maybe supposed to go out at some point, go out. Then later Radio Democracy said they get a fault, technical issue, and later the interview may leak online, and also later they get for player. All right. So after that, we don't see also the reaction from certain people. We make some people even think say maybe because of that they make the interview not be initially go out. But first, what did the US ambassador actually talk to Radio Democracy? For who not be listening to the interview, I know some of them don't listen now, but we go play and back for my corner. You with the US ambassador, Honorable David Remer talk when the outgoing US ambassador to Sierra Leone, and we go also put a little bit of an include for make una understand exactly within the ambassador talk. So first, I gotta go over to the studio and make where we sound engineer and make where the interview within the US ambassador they actually tell Radio Democracy 98.1 the interview where the first thing for player not been go out because of 98.1 is a technical fault, but in play the other day. All right. So let's listen to the ambassador of the US to Sierra Leone.
The US embassy position on the elections results, until date, we've not seen a recognition statement from the US embassy of the president-elect. Does that position still stand?
The United States is concerned about irregularities in the results that were announced by the ECSL. That includes a big difference between the ECSL announced results and the parallel vote tabulation, as well as inconsistencies that were analyzed by domestic and international observers. All of these things raise questions in our mind, not just in the United States, but really all over the world, about the integrity of the official results. And so we have asked for an investigation conducted by an independent outside source to look at the results of the elections here in Sierra Leone. In addition, we've also called on dialogue between the two parties, between all parties really, to see how we can, or how Sierra Leoneans can move forward from this towards the next election in 2028. As well, you've seen we have called on the APC not to boycott participation in the government. I put out a tweet on that, and that was probably the most controversial thing that I've done since I've been here. I got the most reaction, positive and negative, but we feel that in order for there to be a democracy, you have to have two parties. Both parties have to participate. Particularly, we have to think about the people who voted for the APC. Their voices need to be heard. And so that's why we have pushed the APC as well to participate in the government.
Highlighting the issue of transparency in the process, and you are yet to recognize the president. What do you think is the way forward in terms of the U.S. and Australian relationship?
President Bio is the president of Sierra Leone, so it's not we're saying he's not president. What we have not done is congratulate him.
It's about the relationship. What would happen to the relationship between Sierra Leone and the U.S.?
Sir, moving forward, what we're doing is we're sort of doing a review of all of our programs, all of our government-to-government programs. What's not going to change is the work that we're doing with the people of Sierra Leone. It's really our focus here is on the people of Sierra Leone. So that the health programs that I mentioned before, we're going to continue with all of them. We may even expand some of our health programming. We're going to really focus on, helping people, helping their lives improve. We will continue to be there no matter what for the people of Sierra Leone.
Calling on dialogue, we've seen the president setting up an electoral reform group headed by the vice president. What does the U.S. embassy make up of this body set up by the president, headed by the vice president, to look at or look into happenings of the 2023 elections?
What we have called for is an independent look at what happened, an independent outside look at the 2023 elections. Any commission that's headed up by one of the political candidates in the election cannot be independent or non-biased. That's just the way it's going to be. The vice president, I know the vice president, I have a lot of respect for him. I respect his integrity. But because he was one of the candidates, we don't see that as the proper means to take a look at what happened in the past and what will happen moving forward.
If you talk to government officials, they will tell you that the process will be credible.
As I said, it's just not possible for someone who was a candidate in the election to then look at the process and be not biased.
Are you doubting the credibility of the process?
I said, we have raised questions about the integrity and the credibility of the results. So we're clear on that. In order to look at that, you need to have someone who is outside of the process, who is not part of the process. That's what we're saying.
Will the incoming U.S. ambassador continue with the U.S. position on Sierra Leone's just concluded election?
Yes, the U.S. position is the U.S. position. It's not based on an individual. Certainly when the new ambassador comes here, he'll have his own style, he'll have his own way of doing things, but it's the position of the United States government, not of one individual in the government.
And one of the development programs that the government of Sierra Leone was looking forward to was the MCC Compact. And this is based on several factors. Does this election in any way affect the compact?
Yes, it does. So in the year or two preceding the compact, we were very clear with the government of Sierra Leone that in order to get a compact, they needed to have a fair, free, open and transparent election. Sierra Leone had done everything else up to that point to get a compact. They passed all of the scorecards. In some areas they did very well. But we said the one remaining thing would be a fair and free election. Given the fact that there are all sorts of questions about the results, we're taking a look, as I said, we're taking a look at everything. And that includes the MCC Compact.
Now, confirming that the outcome of this election will affect the compacts, someone listening to you would like to know, how would it affect the compact? Because after the election, there were several rumors that the U.S. government has cancelled the compact development program in Sierra Leone. Is that the case?
It's not been cancelled outright, but what we're doing is we're slowing down, we're taking a pause. We're going to see what the government of Sierra Leone does next before we move forward with the compact.
What are these things that you expect to see Sierra Leone government do before you move on with the compact?
Sure. We have communicated to the government basically what I said before. We'd like to see an outside independent look of the election, and then we'd also like to see the government be open to a dialogue with civil society, political parties, everybody moving forward.
You've laid emphasis on this independent body to look into the elections. Where do you expect these bodies to come from?
I think the preference would probably be to be outside of Sierra Leone, because inside of Sierra Leone, it's so polarized. And when I say someone independent, I mean not only someone in the government or the SLPP, but also it shouldn't be an APC partisan. It shouldn't lead the investigation. It should be someone completely divorced who does not have family ties or ethnic ties or political ties to the government or to the opposition.
Quickly, let's look at the economy over the past 2 years. What do you make up of government activities with regards to the economy?
It's been a tough couple of years for the economy in Sierra Leone, and a lot of it is not the government's fault. There have been shocks to the system, due in part to supply chain problems as well as inflation. My country has suffered from inflation as well. I mean,
let's take from the democracy, Musa Kamara. Well, like I tell you, that interview, I don't they lead the discussion as Salon, or don't be part of the discussion as Salon for the past 1 week. Actually, waiting be up on the interview, then pre-record them, which means the ambassador will record the interview with one of the reporters in Radio Democracy, and the interview is supposed to go on like on a Wednesday. What's happened that Wednesday, the program begin the Good Morning Salon program, then at some point it just go off, then now music on what they may play. So which means the station may be on one way or the other, but it's like waiting with the broadcast not they go out. So the interview no go out. So but that interview they been here for leak on social media where a lot of people pass them over and listen them. Okay. On the next day, Radio Democracy come on and the acting manager apologized, said they may get a technical fault. Because he said one, they may get technical faults will be affect the station. Then secondly, he said the reporter or the presenter not been there at the studio. So, but this same presenter and I actually go do the interview with the US ambassador. So then I decide of the Radio Democracy and also then bring in the information minister, information and civic education minister, for making a respond. Before the country respond, the ambassador talk in English. First, he say the US still concerned over the election results in Salon. And this is not a new thing because the US don't talk them over and over. Say the election results, then concern with the tabulation process and the announcement of results. So it's not new. Even the Salon government and everybody, past number of people not pay attention, the fact. But the fact is, from what the election be happen, the US been very clear, the Carter Center, when an organization owned by a former US president, when one of the international observers, the European Union, and all the key international, partners, they all say they're not happy with the result because the tabulation and the counting not being too transparent. So he said US concerned with the election result. Okay. Then he also say at some point, he said instead of being tweets, he even talked to the APC for letting dialogue and participate in some governance. He said now one of the most, if he's the most controversial thing in the way he don't do, because that tweets the way he talk for call on APC for letting dialogue and continue for talk. He say a lot of people respond, whether in the negative or in the positive way. He said, but of course you do and then stand in the middle and stand for peace. Then he came to the issue of President Biore asked why congratulate or or the US not congratulate President Julius Maada Bio. Now I say President Biore the president of Salon, no doubt, which means of course I don't talk this way. I don't swear. I mean so the president of Salon, of course, you get for the next 5 years. The only thing that the consequences already come after. All right, they say so that the president, but definitely that no, but still the US get concerned over the issue of the elections. They say, then they ask him about the issue of, how the US then relationship with the Salon government or with the Salon. Now I say, well, he said the program with the US they do with Salon people and will continue. Say, for example, the health issues, when they help people are health related, he said, they can go for even add more of what's they do. He said, but something they can go for review. What then they do and how then they do them. So they ask us specifically about the MCC, one of the Millennium Challenge Corporation, MCC, one of that money where US government can give countries, they're developing countries, so let them develop themselves in different ways. They ask her if they ever be affected. Now I say, yes, they ever be affected. They say because they may not tell the Salon government over 1 year ago, say one party benchmarks part of them, now free, transparent elections. He said, well, as in this case, the election then get concerned over him, so which means therefore be affected. So they ask him about how the US program and they did at the country because after the elections, a lot of people in the talk say the US government will stop for Woku Salon. I say no. He said some program they didn't get for continue. He said, but some they didn't get for slow and take a pause. Where he say take a pause, I the team up force and watch what's they happen. until the government fix certain things and what they happen at the country. Then they ask him about the committee, the electoral reforms committee where President Bio don't set up and task people and for letting act for address the issues and concern we happen in the past elections. While the US ambassador say, he said to be very honest, he say he respect the vice president, that's Sannoh vice president, Dr. Jalloh. He say, but he say Dr. Jalloh not going to be very independent as far as that committee is concerned. He said because that particular person, the winner, the vice president, in first been there at the election, and be one of the candidates there when I run in mate way run alongside President Julius Maada Bio. He says so if that person they go chair and head that committee, they say not go be independent. And for goodness sake, let's look at this issue. The vice president of Sannoh right now, Dr. Mohamed Julius Jalloh, in a vice president of Sannoh because President Bio win the elections, rightfully or wrongly, right? Because President Julius Maada Bio win the elections, we just don't done. Whether I win or not through the right way or not to the right way, as the observers then say, the counting and tabulation process lack transparency. But it's neither the president. So Julius Jalloh in the vice president, because of the election. If that election they no go, right now, not go be vice president. So then go put and say you can be head this committee for investigate the elections we just don't pass or whatever the concerns of the opposition. Let us be very honest. It will be independent and neutral. So the US ambassador say, with all due respect, that man have been candidate in the just concluded elections. In first been there alongside the president, so he no go able independence as far as the committee concerned, which is a fact. If you're not vice president because of the process of the elections, now they say you go head the committee for looking into the issues. You will do well. Okay. So he talking very clearly. He say, what's it then go suggest? He say maybe forget like an outsider. Somebody will not get too much of political party interest or influence in Sierra Leone, like somebody way outside. It can be a foreign agency or a foreign person for make it able then look into the issues that were happening in the elections and get a good report where then we will identify all the issues then. And I think say to a large extent, I go in line with them because we don't see a lot of committees in other countries there and report. But because people are not genuine or people all get their interest, we see how things they happen. Let me give you an example of the Interreligious Council. The Interreligious Council, they say, okay, none of the Muslim and Christian leaders then supposed for the tell people in the truth. But I don't see wait till Interreligious Council, but don't say loud. Some of them even endorse certain candidates, some they even don't make statements. So if then people and they go for go talk peace and cohesion, how then go look at it on the other side? And one thing about mediation and peace, the two sides all for trust you, right? We don't see even the National Commission on Peace, where they say right now they talk about peace and whatever. Some of people don't sell out. The tribal leaders, let me give you here an example. The 16 tribal heads of Freetown, we get all the tribal headmen there in Freetown. Now then say part of the one for make peace. Okay, well and good. Well and good. But there's 16 tribal heads there, and at the same 16 tribal heads, we been going to give support to President Julius Maada Bio and the ruling SLPP party almost a month to the elections. So if the same tribal rulers there, for example, come back say, oh, they can't talk peace and cohesion, then go believe them because they already don't declare their politics and support to President Bio and the ruling party, for example. So these are the things where the ambassador talk about for look at somebody from the outside, where you come in, we not get nothing much attached. He said because the country is polarized. And that's the truth. Right now, Sierra Leone, everything is just polarized, politics-wise, right? What I talk about, most of the media people, most of the civil society, of course, we see the appointment from the president, we get plenty of civil society colleagues there, we don't take up appointments as ministers, which is good. But so on another hand, look at as a civil society and so on. So then they ask him about the position where he talk about if the new ambassador come, if Danny could change. The ambassador clearly make and say, he said the U.S. position, not the U.S. position, not the U.S. policy, not the U.S. position, which means even if in change now, where in your time they can do, the new ambassador will come, the same position, when at the U.S. position, and he will carry on. He said the only different, maybe he will change, his style will be different. Style will be different the way he will do things. But the U.S. position on the issues they are in the elections in the U.S. And this I want to make very clear. Some of them countries they are, them big countries they are, them so like Sannoh or other countries, where where, for example, US don't say, this is our position on this. I like 10 people and come. That's the US position. Okay. So some people may feel say, oh, maybe if this ambassador come, the other one come, maybe, if the US, unless the US position change on some things, otherwise the ambassador, they still, he will maintain the US position. It's clear, especially in international relations and diplomacy. Okay. So you talk about the MCC will be affected, and they ask about the economy of Sannoh. He say, Sannoh not struggle over the economy over the years because of a lot of things that happen, COVID-19, even talk about the Ukraine and Russia war and everything. But the bottom line of the message of the ambassador, he was very honest and puts the point out in and this has been the point of the international organizations there, whether the UK, whether the US, whether the EU, they are from the election. What I think saying like this, some people are not happy about. So after the US ambassador statement with the air on 19.1, we don't see some other reactions, including one civil society person, we don't react and say the police for don't invite the US ambassador for making go explain more about it, and if you not give evidence and everything. But I don't want to talk more. I go ask me engineer, make we play one shot when we credit to Born to Blog, when I want social media them blogger people them. All right. We now they put them up. We just have Sannoh, they say if one lady salon police for they don't invite the US ambassador. Now watch and listen to what Mr. Sannoh say, then we go give a response on that. Listen.
This is now hot breaking news as Joseph Abbas Sannoh don't call on the foreign minister and the Sierra Leone police for invite the outgoing ambassador for United States of America for questioning at the CID. As in say, a statement will be made na 98.1 get tendency for bring war, division and chaos na the country.
You say something, he who asserts must prove. If you have said our elections are not credible, nothing stops us from inviting him to the police, from inviting him to bring the evidence. He has meddled into our national politics. So he should be asked. He is questioning the integrity of our institution. So he should be brought to our institution. He lives here. There's nothing wrong with we bringing him. Let him provide the 11,000 polling station IRF form where the election was not credible. If he doesn't have it, then we can complain him or take legal action as a government against him. Because these are the people that don't like Africans. These are the people that want to undermine Africa. You cannot just speak without evidence.
All right. Credit to Born to Blog. Like I say, one social media bloggers, when they actually share that interview, they will come out to light about what Mr. Sannoh talk. Mr. Sannoh say a lot of things inside that shots in a way very interesting, And first, you say for invite the ambassador, and he also talk about the evidence. And I go back to that point first, because from what this election done, we don't see a lot of statements where don't come out from all international observers. First, let us not go to the international observer. First, we go to the new National Elections Watch. First, then say issue a statement where they say the elections get a lot of irregularities and they get statistical inaccuracies, which means I do statistics in college, right? As I be a little bit of not to high level, but when I say statistical inaccuracies, which means the election results in statistics not accurate, and the elections, National Elections Watch in the press release, they talk and they even draw reference to the sample method where they use and how they come into that conclusion. And that information is out in the public domain, not so secret, right? They even challenge the Elections Commission, say, President Julius Maada Bio not win the elections on the first ballot, all right? They say with all the talent they don't put together, they say President Julius Maada Bio not win the election in first ballot as announced by the Elections Commission. They even bring some evidence out. Okay, that's the elections, the National Elections Watch, one of the local observer group. Now look into the international observers, the Qatar Center, the European Union Observation Body. They all say, the elections, it lack transparency and it lack best international standards as far as the tabulation and counting concern. All right, they even issued a statement to the effect. All right, and even the even the elections commission, the National Elections Watch, they even ask the Elections Commission, let them publish the result at local level. Every survey they vote, let them publish. From where they ask them, the NEC no able to do that, or ECSM no able to do that. So for let Mr. Sannoh can say, all and not to evidence, then because the ambassador can talk, he can begin, go at the ambassador. I think it's not only unfair, to the people of Sierra Leone. It's not just unfair, but also some people and they feel when they say civil society, everybody in a civil society, even them already sell jelly in a civil society, them already plant petete or cassava in a civil society. All right. But I think over the years, don't they see when people maybe because they just want the antomort or something for make then they talk any kind of thing. So Mr. Sannoh say first, let them invite the US ambassador, police for invite him, if you not give the evidence. But I see are very interesting. So first, I don't know if Mr. Sannoh know much about international relations or diplomacy. Well, me do international relations at some point of my studies. First, I want just tell and say, diplomat, they exempt them from being prosecuted. They prosecute diplomats. And even the state or the open court, they suspect them for being guilty. Even if they commit an actual crime, now a country, because of their immunity status, they are immune, they prosecuted. Just an example, let's say for argument's sake, not only that they are agents free from criminal jurisdiction of state, they are also immune. So which means, they prosecute. But apart from that side, they even not go to that level yet. I don't know some Sierra Leonean diplomats, I don't name them, where they don't commit crimes abroad. Some of them bring them back. Salon bring them back na Salon, then pull them at their job. Why? Because they prosecute a diplomat, where they work for another country, na your own country. They get a lot of immunity where they around them. So down the first, I don't know if you know about international relations or you know about diplomacy. All right. Normally, what people can do until they pull that immunity where they cover them before them they able to take on them. But that just as a way of making some clarification. He also said these are the kind of people that we not like Africa, we not like black man or something like that. That statement in a statement where also you lack facts and a statement will not make better sense as far as me concerned. All right, because when you look at, for example, within the U.S. government and the European Union, the money where they don't give to Salon, over the years, it boku for help the country for develop. And also, they don't set them out. They don't they talk about these issues. They don't they give them recommendations. They don't they talk about this. I think Satan not reach for we as Africans or we as Sierra Leoneans or we as black people from Ego no say every action gets your own consequences. All right. Now they see, for example, when the minister been respond, this new minister of information and civic education, but a young man, glad for him because it's the biggest or first big public job. I think say it try for talk about maybe what the government can do on the side of the ambassador, they can declare persona non grata. So which means they can, in country can recall and back say make it come before then they able do something in your country, especially if now US citizen as well, all right? But like come to the response of the young minister, when I'm your own colleague, probably they have the same age or maybe big for me, small, I don't know. But when he has come about the ambassador, first he talk about, say, the ambassador, certain surveys, the ambassador in personal opinion. I think say throughout to see the ambassador talking, I talk about personal opinion. One, he talk in the capacity of the US ambassadors of Sierra Leone. And then when they ask him, he talk about, say, this is the US position and the US policy. So not an opinion. So where the minister be, they say, oh, maybe not the minister, the ambassador opinion. I think say the minister, the ambassador be very clear, say, this is not my opinion. Or he said, this is the US position. So for the fact that this is the US position, it means it's the United States position. I'm not able to understand how Salon feels, say, the US government will send ambassador and the embassy staff, where they give their reports every day about what's going to happen at the country. They say, let the young government not believe them. Let them believe una. You understand? Okay, let's put it another way. Let's say Salon send ambassador to America. we're supposed to report every day to Salon government or the president and the government of Salon. Then Salon government not for believe them, then for believe other people and we already get the information. And so it sounds like if America government then send ambassador and embassy staff na Salon for go Ukraine for a reason, then they get the information and they make statement on behalf of the government. Okay, una fee say they not for believe them and for believe una. So then they say, so the minister talk about say, oh, maybe the minister, the ambassador opinion. No, not to be opinion. This now the government, the US government in policy or in statement on the situation in Sierra Leone. And also, I see he talk about, oh, maybe this is not colonialism, if it's not then colonial era term and no. Okay, I not agree with the minister as well. And also, we are not talking. Say, no, we don't like Africa, we don't like black man also. These are things where people and they do, they feel say, for example, where people and they talk and try for friend way for. And even this minister, before they make a minister, but I see write one long article on the same thing, talk about, oh, it's not so colonial, this not new Africa and blah, blah, blah. Okay, Salon are sovereign states. I agree, Salon are sovereign states, yes. But how sovereign are we? Even majestic, past the order encounter, even to pick past the order encounter, look at Bass crisis recently, what's happened in the country. So how you could talk about independence and we are sovereign state, able to address all the issues there. So at the end of the day, if we give money for XYZ, would they tell you about things where they do to you people? Because like the result they all say, the people voted and some people can get right to make them vote for the government where they want. But in this case, we don't see the report the way they don't come on. Okay. So now you try for dragon to hold slavery and no. I want people to know say actions get consequences. I made them say crime and punishment, right? Crime and punishment. That's what they even at the religious books, the Bible, the Quran, and whatever, and even at the Constitution. Crime and punishment. Why people emphasize them for commit crime, then do certain thing where nobody know for talk. Therefore left them no more say, yeah, everything is okay. Why? Why? When we get institutions and we get world bodies and we get developed countries where certain things they happen, as opposed to tell we say this is wrong. So crime and punishment. If people do certain things willfully, the repercussion and they expect if I never get on. But I think some people just want to all the government they have for set them was like nothing happen. No. Every action gets an opposite reaction. If they don't tell us say we do the right thing in the elections, we not agree, we go do what we want to do. At the end of the day, we just go make you keep at the elections, see if the people and vote. It lack transparency in the words of the international observers. Don't quote me, quote the international observers who say it lack transparency and best practices. Okay. None of they expect reaction, none of they expect consequences. There was no one I watch now like say everything is okay. No. That's how the world will work. Okay. So in international diplomacy, people need to know about that as well. Okay. Like when they say, no for bet the finger where they feed you. So all of that, they make people and just they make issues because of this and that. But the reality there still remains from where this election begin. In fact, remember that time where the EU ambassador been talk say, oh, ECS want to do XYZ, while going up, people and they, and people are not there. Then that elections commission and Abo, Alpha say, oh, the international community, they're hypocritical, and just they talk about regime change and blah, blah, blah. Starting from that point, a lot of things happen from that time. Tato cancel the elections and now look how the election come out. So people for no say, without due respect to people that all as Alionians, and we all feel them because of people and they, suffer the pinch and everything. But like I say, every action gets an opposite reaction. If people and feel say then will do the election result and just do it and feel for do, and that's the end of it, and don't forget an opposite reaction. No. Other countries then do them, they're not left them go free. So how we can do an hour face no more, nobody know for talk. So Mr. Sannoh in talk, it never even make better sense because just being like diplomats and get immunity. Apart from that ambassador way to talk, not only the way you will go say, oh, for which self for going to court or police or whatever. It makes sense to you. The man talk about the elections, say the US still concerned with the elections, say the election rigged. And not to see where they hide them, they don't talk from the one. The reports and they out there to the world. Go Google Sierra Leone election 2023. Just go put on Google Sierra Leone election 2023 and see what they come up. Okay. So for like go say this and that, it don't make sense. Oh, then people are not like Africa and so on. That kind of statement and then kind of in a way because I think that the problem where I get is the issue of state capture. I've been on at some point I've been writing about state capture. State capture, and in a particular situation where people are capture the states for their own interest. Okay, maybe I've been writing on some site. I think on a Facebook page. I think I go look for back state capture, quick one. Where not like where everything in the country now one way. Okay, everything now one way. For talk, for criticize, for do anything. Look who's right to say. Okay, say state capture. Say state capture on a type of systematic way of doing things whereby narrow interest groups take control of the institutions. People are when are then just narrow, small-minded people and for themselves no more, and they take control of institutions through which public policy is made, directing issues away from public interest. So now, instead of talking about the public interest, the millions of people away vote, where them vote still matter. Remember I talked to Amami say, know if they cancel and vote. Now then Western area, and that's true. They say, know if they cancel and vote because we say a vote, you spend like 5-6 hours in the line before you vote. They say, so you want to know if your vote counts or not count. Otherwise, that in time we go spend at the line. Because even the elections, ECSA, where they say they cancel 126 polling stations, they're not even talk the area that they cancel. They're not even call, they're not tell you the area that they cancel 126. Where Christian Atop been cancelled 2017, he said Kaila and Kotbare are cancelled XYZ because of overvoting. So I'm saying in times 2. So that is very clear. People are able to go there and go cross-check Kaila and Kotbare or something. But in this case, with Corner Council, you just say I cancel 126 polling stations, because either violence be happen there or some issues or whatever. But not tell you the exact area. So that woman when we talk to, for example, we say, who's in vote? Another Western area rural, he said, they don't know if the vote count or not because they're not able to tell we who side and cancel the polling stations there. So every action gets consequences. So because of state capture, you get in civil society, there are some journalists, some ordinary people, ruling party supporters, some people that just want their anti-mort. They shy away from the facts and they shy away from the truth, which is sad. At the end of the day, the country beat past we all. But if there are certain things wrong, we'll therefore be able to say that. Okay? So, I think saying that, I go for Mr. Sannoh, say that statement is unfortunate and you don't know the foreign policy proper. Because you know about foreign policy and also where's the ambassador talk for say the election, as far as the US concerned, the election get issues, it get problems, transparency issues, which is a fact because it has been reported. And he talk about saying they slow down the MCC. He talk about the trust, say, Julia Jalo, the vice president, will able to handle the committee for looking to the electoral reforms well, because he have been part of, a member of the ruling government and they all been run the election with Bio. That's a fact. Okay. So tell me to wait the other way they go talk about say for go police and go produce evidence. So I think that let me take it as a comic statement. All right, family, watch you on TV Salon, TVS Live, and these are the issues. Continue with it live on Facebook, on YouTube, and across all the platforms there. And we tell you today the point about the US ambassador interview and the reaction we don't come over. But also, family, as we talk about the US ambassador, this issue, also, we see a tweet where the journalist will do the interview. He actually tweets on his Twitter handle, say after the interview come out, he say you don't get a lot of people and we they attack him, some then they accuse and say now he leak the interview to social media and all of that. So instead of say you get concerned, they say they don't tell the radio way they look for on radio democracy, and they also don't tell Slash. Okay. They say it's been only dramatic for the last 24 hours since he interviewed the outgoing US ambassador. They say social media comments and personal text message don't cause them for concern. They say so you don't tell the radio and you also don't tell Slash. That's not the journalist who do the interview. After the interview don't go out, you see a lot of concerns on social media, on personal. People are not the attackers in Ilika and all that. And that's not fair. The man don't go do the interview. If you do the interview for let them play on 98.1 or play on, then the interview leak on social media. Well, not go accuse and say Ilika. Why? In do one for a media house. For the media house, as far as them concerned, they may get technical issue that it is. Even though other people on the other hand, they say, they shut down the radio because they're not wanting the interview go out. Yeah. And so other people then say, but 98.1 then clear on there and say, they may get technical fault. Okay. I give them credits. My colleague, Jamiru, when I the acting manager, he said, they may get technical fault. And of course, I give it to him, for address the issue, let me get technical fault and then play the interview on Thursday. Though, by the time the interview come on Thursday, a lot of people already don't get them on social media. Right? But that's the issue. So the journalists say it gets a whole lot of concerns. People and they personally they send out messages and all of that about saying leak the interview on social media. All right. For family program are the issues. The time now 4:53 p.m. Now we Washington DC studios on TV Salon, me and Alpha, your host. And today these are the main issues we already talk about. And soon we'll talk about the papers, the newspaper reviews. We will get for end with. But before we go aside, I just want to make one note say the elections staff, the one we work for the elections commission, then say Bokupa and still the concerns they not pay the 8. The concerns they not pay the 8 after the election, they not able to get their money and not pay the not yet. So then say they call on the elections commission of Salon for do let them try for pay them their salaries. So do you ECSL wanna try pay the one they work for. Now, we stand the election. I've been June 24, right? June, July, August, 90 done so. They're not able to get their salary. And small money, okay. Do you wanna try pay them? However, Elections Commission put out a press release where they say ECSL, they get support from UNDP and they organize verification exercise for pay the polling staff. And therefore, so now they can begin verification. People are not work from June 2023, July, August, now they don't. So now they can't verify. So which means when I don't verify August, we say they will get their money. So people are not work and, work on all the polling stations there, now we not paid until today. So now ECSL will a press release about verification. And I go for do all over the country. East, and go for Bukalang, Kenema, Kono, North, Bombali, Falabako, and Aduguton, Kolidi, Putbako, Cambia, South, okay, and Karina, South, Bo, Bont, Moyamba, Pujao, Western area, rural Western area, urban. So now ECSL say they do a verification exercise. So if they do verification exercise now, the elections done in June, June done, July done, August now done so. Now we do verification. We are ECSL, must try pay the people I work for when are during election, they do. Yeah? They are on try pay them, do. Small money, someone at 1.5, maybe someone at 2 million leos or whatever. I want to for people money to all and yeah. It's not fair. Right? So far, we listen to the issues live on TV Salon and Mina Alpha. They get to live on the various platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and also all other social media forums. Next, we'll go to the newspaper reviews, and after the newspaper review, we go end the program. You're not going no side, continue for subscribe, and thank you to all you on the way they watch we live, and the one that we don't subscribe. We will tell you all thank you, and we'll continue for trust TV. So don't forget the partnership with we had, therefore continue from time to time. And now we sister partner station where we can collaborate for the certain program then. And for now we don't enjoy programs during elections, we don't forget to go for the continue or the joint programs from time to time. Okay? All right. Now Tim, anytime now I'll go review the newspapers for let's see what's in the Salon newspaper they write today. Then after the newspaper review, we'll end the program. But don't forget to say this not TVS or TV Salon. for give you enough information. Maybe the next edition, we could try to get somebody from the Sierra Leone away protest, especially at The Hague, at the International Criminal Court, ICC. Why them protests and waiting the healing want? We'll try to get maybe one of the organizers for this native years, and we continue to highlight the issues. We stand for human rights promotion. We're there against human rights abuses and violations. We're there for good governance, and we're there against the misuse of law and order and all that thing. So now, we can go to the newspaper review anytime now. And after that, we'll end the program, 4:57 p.m. All right. Now, with Washington, D.C. studio, we'll start with the Times newspaper, where they say ECSL's refusal to publish June 24 election results is a recipe for chaos. So you see the same thing, whether ambassador they talk, where people like Sannoh, they can say no, if we go court or whatever, police and all that. Then Gentle offers 300 million loans to clubs in Kofa League. Gentle, another man who won me on a Freetown, but he lost under the ruling party and say he offered 300 million loans to clubs at the Kofa League. England secures place World Cup final. Of course, this is not the Women's World Cup, where England, of course, we know say themselves, they don't come on, right? Okay. We continue with the next paper, but this 9 day at the Times newspaper salon. I also see a picture of the new Minister of Information Minister, I say embarrassed BO's government. Okay, now so this paper say, well, read this paper, what's in the inside, but now what they say. But by the Times newspaper. Standard Times newspaper say 300 million loans for Kofa League, Gentle turns major sponsor. So yeah, Gentle after he lost the mayoral, now he's sponsored and league there, and they say don't put 300 million loans. Okay, don't try. APC maintains boycott. They see the picture of the opposition APC Secretary General, where they say they still maintain them boycott, and they talk to the Interreligious Council and other people, but them boycott they still maintain. Awareness Times say Information Minister Bar didn't shut down 98.1 radio station, according to Awareness Times newspaper. WIMSAL president encourages women to practice journalism. All that day at the Awareness Times newspaper, we na Dr. Sylvia Blythe in Debiana. All right. I'll continue with the newspapers. The Nature newspaper say Guma reveals threats to water supply in Western area peninsula. Then they see another headline where they say Ferry Junction landfill stretch out. I think right now when the rains they come and they see all the day of environment. But if you want to know more about the nature and the environment, by the Nature newspaper. We continue for review more newspaper now. This is now the Expo Times. Police arrest 4 persons with huge quantity of kush and tramadol. Well, let's see how kush and tramadol they affect with man in another country there. So they say they arrest 4 persons with huge quantity of kush and tramadol. I hope they will tell them people there. Because then kind of thing any person go there do them so in ordinary person person get high connection. 1 dead in Connaught, mining accident at Connaught, and see somebody die. RAIC engages ONS on ATI, onion importation to drop in the next 2 years. This gave everybody a bus shortage in the country, but if you want to know more, by the Expo Times weekend newspaper. We continue with more newspaper review now. This is not the Night Watch. We say we want International Investigations Committee. Sierra Leoneans back U.S. ambassador. This guy for the U.S. ambassador in statement. Extortion, BO signs fabulous Parliament Welfare Act. The Parliament Welfare Act, I think another way for add the parliamentarians the money and other benefits. Corruption allegations weaken ECOWAS. ECOWAS instead and get corruption allegations. All linking and the Night Watch newspaper. And also they see the picture of the outgoing U.S. ambassador to Sierra Leone. Sky Times newspaper says over missing banknotes, videos, citizens lose trust in Rokel Bank. All right. 23-year-old youth bags mega promo TVS motorbike. Meets the new current general manager, Sierra Leone Port Authority. Plus more, then at the Sky Times newspaper. Buy them and see more within the inside. Right? The Times Daily, they say NRA chief hits unprecedented 127.26 billion leones in revenue. As the NRA, then boss, he hits 127.26 billion in revenue. Right? Then are the local taxes and rates. NACSA boss engages project partners, National Commission of Social Action. EPA destroys 80 rogue dredges. Rogue dredges, now then dredge, people may go mine, then gold and all that thing. Then when they pass through the right channels, and mostly, and then foreigner, then Guineans, then Ghanaians, then Gambians, and other nationalities within the neighboring countries, and then for go mine, then gold, underhand mining. But they can connive with them corrupt government officials then. So they then destroy 80 rogue dredges. Okay. And also grassroots, Hector Napoleon Koroma's appointment. All lines together and then are the Times Daily newspaper of Salon. All right. We'll get to the comment newspaper. We say Sierra Leoneans and the onion debate. While Yabas now on Salon, a big issue. A lot of people are concerned about the Yabas shortage. Eastern Region Women's Network, hail Fatima Bio. Okay, the vice, the first lady is a woman at the Eastern Region, hail how the APC party fooled the great uncle Sam into renegating on his obligation. I say a picture of, I think that's Samora. Okay. They say the APC party Fulham. All I want to know in the comments, newspaper, buy and see more. All right. More newspaper reviews now on TV Salon as they continue. 3 minutes past 5. Now Washington DC studios. The Home Times newspaper says, "Welcome to a new era in Maleng Sokfin relationship." Sokfin and Maleng, now that put you on side. Say, then land one of them, they get issues with them and they're really working at that company. All right. Salon, Guinea, Liberia, Nigeria meet, on West Africa, One Health. Okay. And also, all line they get for to talk about, body business, na the sub-region. All line stories, then they at the Home Times newspaper. All right. They continue with more newspaper reviews on TV Salon. All right. 4 minutes past 5 o'clock. And, after the newspaper reviews, go close the program. The primary news, illegal mining, EPA destroys 80 dredges. Now, which I will tell you just now. Then foreigner, they can mine, and they will place there, they mine the right way, they get all the documents, and just they can mine, employ the communities there, and escape with the gold and all that thing, and they go. Districts, Grand Lodge supports the needy. LAB secures release of single parent with 6 children. Okay? All lines to read and then at the primary news newspaper. Buy them and see more or read more of their story then. All right, this now the drone newspaper, over stance of US government, information minister challenges American ambassador. And this I'm not going to spend more time with that, but they say a picture of the minister and the outgoing US ambassador. We get for do that interview at 98.1. Right, Women's Voice. They say with thanks to God and John Kister, female coach leg amputation successful. All right. Eastern Regional Women Network, hail Fatima. I don't see this story just now. NACI tackles non-compliers. NACSA holds coordination meeting with partners. All next to it and the Women's Voice newspaper. Beyond Borders, Majority Leader of Parliament applauds President Bio. New Internal Affairs Minister advises SLP on crime indicators. APC MP urges colleagues to support Feed Salon initiative. Parliament receives Ethiopia delegation. All next to it in the Beyond Borders newspaper we come out in Salon last week. The Heritage newspaper says Heritage newspaper will not be intimidated by Lambert and Partners. I don't know what are Lambert and Partners. Terminate net page passport contract now. Citizens cry. This get for do the contract we then give them people and where they print the Salon passport. This newspaper, they say the people are the crisis, they terminate the contract. But by the newspapers, we able to learn more of what's in the Global Times newspaper already aligned itself with the ruling government. Say arrest warrants for Lebanese businessman Ali Jafar. And they see the IG of police in picture. VP Jule Jalo assures Western area councillors. Chief Minister initiates transformative change. All links together in the Global Times newspaper. All right. The Voice of Salon, U.S. Ambassador questions the appointment of VP Jule as head of Electoral Reform Committee. And we'll talk on that because we don't deliberate on a lengthy. APC cast doubt on local arbiters to resolve political stalemate. 50 Sierra Leone students receive Hungarian scholarship. HRCSL, winner the Human Rights Commission Salon, takes rights campaign to informal sector. All links together and then at the Voice of Salon newspaper. All right, A to Z newspaper. Say Chief Minister warns development partners stop making incendiary statements that undermine state security. SLP have the best cyber investigation laboratory in Africa. Interesting. I laugh because ISLP will get the best cyber laboratory in Africa. Where a Nigerian man will go take go snap with the president. We then say na 419 and not be able to catch yourself fast. Nah, where Dr. Lahai ring the bell and they tell no butter. So I make I just laugh. Minister of Information cautions people and especially international partners to move to Salon Times. They say we are equal as a nation, irrespective of our economy. Chief Minister tells US Ambassador, okay, we move to other newspaper there, but buy the Salon Times newspaper so we able, read more. Independent Observer, EPA destroys 80 dredges. I don't talk about this story just now. Then people are really go mine illegal gold or other minerals and come on the other country and they go through the backyard to months and go do the thing in there. Concord Times, War of Words, Bio administration battles with US ambassador. This segment for do with the same interview with the US ambassador do and the response from the government. Peace Commission highlights steps taken to address a discord. All right, by the Concord Times newspaper, so you're able to see and read more of the stories today. The Open Space, Yakan trains online sexual abuse monitors. Press Secretary appeals to journalists for support. All next to read in the Open Space newspaper, na Salon. All right, Public Review newspaper, next. And the Public Review, they say the U.S. position is the U.S. position. It re-emphasized with the U.S. ambassador talk about the Salon election. ONS denounces 46 private security companies. All right, all let's to read in the Public Review newspaper. All right, Salon Compass, Kush, Youth Minister takes fight to communities. Brazen electoral theft, U.S. puts more fire on SLPP. Diplomatic Chief Minister picks fights with U.S. ambassador. Gentle boasts Kofa League with over 300 million leos. All that's in that paper. The Calabash newspaper, APC affirms its non-participation stance in state governance. Gentle sponsors Kofa League with over 300 million leons. NP Sierra Leone leads the way. Now the all newspaper says election staff to stage massive protests. I don't tell you just now, but election staff say they don't pay the it's Boku, they don't pay the it, so then concern. APC's position of non-participation in governance still stands. Mob justice, bad justice. All needs to read in the our newspaper. All right, so family, I think say all that to get for you in the program tonight on TV Salon, the program, the issues we come to you from TV Salon across all the platform name on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Don't forget to say by God in power next week, Saturday, we will be back for look into another issue and analyze and discuss them. But don't forget to like, share, and be part of the family. Add the comments. And also, if you get points you want to discuss about, send them to me. Then we'll be able to look at them and probably make them a point of discussion. And also collaboration with Riyadh, get for continue from time to time. So don't forget to say this na TVS, always with the reports, analyze, and left you for decide. So we'll meet back next week by God in power. Being your host, producer, and presenter, Alpha Kamara. For everybody in the team, I tell you thank you and continue for subscribing and be part of TV Salon. I tell you thank you. You wait this salon. If you want to go sleep, good night. Or for we, now the Eastern time, Washington, D.C., I say good afternoon or good evening. We'll meet again some other time next week. Thank you, and bye-bye.